Hey guys, I just wanted to check in as it is Ash Wednesday, hump day, yeah! And it is the beginning of our Lenten season. So I just wanted to kind of go over a little bit about what Lent is, why it's so important to Christians and Catholics, and what I'm doing for Lent this year. So, Ash Wednesday is a very kind of more somber day to remind us the beauty of Jesus' sacrifice for dying on the cross for us. We are told that we will return to dust, which can kind of sound really sad, like, oh, right, I'm gonna die one day, because there is sin. We do have to die. But there is beauty and hope in the fact that Jesus died for our sins and we can live in an everlasting life with him in the kingdom. So it's kind of like that bittersweet. It's a little more somber, kind of sets the tone. I feel like Christmas is very joyful and celebratory all the time leading up to Christmas. But with Easter, it's that sadness of Jesus dying, but also that immense hope and the light at the end of the tunnel. Or at the end of the tomb. So Ash Wednesday, typically, the priest or whoever is distributing the ashes would dip their thumb and make a sign of the cross on your head. But for COVID reasons, they did like a little sprinkling thing, so I think I have ashes somewhere in my hair right now. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's that actually is a common practice. I think it was older, probably in European countries. So not all change is bad. It wasn't my favorite because I kind of actually enjoyed having a big smudge mark on my head and people being like, oh, you got something on your head. I'm like, oh, no, it's intentional. So it was a little weird this year, but still awesome. So that's a little blurb about Ash Wednesday. And now to just kind of continue into like what Lent actually is. So Lent is 40 days long. It doesn't include Sundays, which I will get into in a moment. But it's supposed to represent Jesus being in the desert for 40 days. And so the three pillars of Lent are prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. So obviously prayer is an essential part of our faith. It's our way that we communicate with God. And what better way to prepare for Jesus dying for our sins and rising again than to really focus on praying more, being intentional with our prayers during this time. Fasting. Again, Jesus was in the desert for 40 days fasting. So what better way to really humble ourselves and to appreciate the sacrifice that Jesus made for us than to also partake in fasting. So on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, you, as long as you are healthy and able, are supposed to eat definitely one big meal. You can also have two smaller, like snacky kind of things that don't fill you up completely. And then, as a lot of people probably know, on Fridays during Lent, we don't eat meat. Meat was seen as a luxury item back a long time ago. And while it's easily accessible to a lot of people now, that's still not always the case. And it's just another way to humble ourselves and to sacrifice, especially on Friday because of Good Friday. So every Friday during Lent is like a little mini Good Friday, preparing ourselves for Jesus being crucified. So Sundays, we can do whatever we gave up for Lent on Sundays. Technically Saturday after the sun goes down, because you can have Saturday Mass, so technically that counts as like your Sunday. So Sundays are supposed to be celebratory in nature, celebrating Jesus rising from the dead and taking away, or not taking away, but saving us from our sins. Sundays are celebratory, and that's why they're not included in the typical 40 days of Lent. So along with fasting, normally we give up something during the Lenten season. Some people give up social media, some people give up sweets. My brother's giving up hot water, so he had to take his first cold shower today. I was hoping that he would squeal so I could make fun of him, but he didn't, because he's a trooper. So for this year, I decided to give up drinking alcohol and also using language that I would not say in front of children. And the reason I say that is because there's some words that aren't cuss words, but still aren't the best to use. So the reason that I chose those two things is because 2 relationships ago, I had a really hard breakup, and I've talked about that on this channel before. But prior to that breakup, I could have sworn up and down that I was never going to drink alcohol or cuss. Just wasn't going to happen. And when I got dumped, I was open to both of those things. I don't know why. Not that I really did any in excess, but just that I was more willing to do them, I guess. Still never said the F word. Still haven't. Just really don't have that desire. But, if I'm singing a song or whatever and there's a word in it, I'll drop it. But anyways, so after going through what I recently have been through, I just thought it would be kind of funny to give those 2 things up for Lent. And then the third pillar is almsgiving. So serving others, being intentional in donations, in prayers, in helping our neighbors and uplifting them. So prayer, fasting, and almsgiving are the 3 essential parts that help us to grow closer to God during this time and to really truly appreciate the sacrifices that Jesus went through to save us. And normally it's a time, again, to increase your faith as well. So a lot of people, in addition to giving something up, like to add an additional thing that will help grow their spirituality. And so this year I also decided that I'm going to wake up at 6:15 every morning and right away read the Bible for 10 minutes or so, and then work out and do the rosary, which I normally do that almost every day anyways, but now I'm doing it in the morning, which is really fun. And then I also want to try to go to daily mass at least twice a week, in addition to going to mass on Sunday. So I'm really excited to be growing intimately with God in new ways each day. Through this time, through this process, He's continuing to carry me, and I'm so excited to see the ways that He's going to work His way further into my life and to fill the brokenness that I have right now through this Lenten season. So thank you guys so much for taking this time to learn about my goals for Lent this year, what Lent is even about, if you were wondering. And I should be having a cover coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Peace.